Hello and welcome to another episode of Indiepocalypse Radio. Now we are squarely living within the 100 zone. We're just like relaxing. We're like, oh, triple digits. This is why I thought in advance when I started naming the episodes and I called them 0001 because I knew I'd be going for the long thousands or something. How long would that? That would be a very long time. That would be honestly too long. I've thought about like when you break out time. I was like, oh, what if I've joked about beating Sufjan to his game and making Indie Apocalypse for all 50 states. And if I did that one a year, that is 50 years, which is a lot of quite a long amount of time to be doing this. So to do, but who am I doing all this to begin with? I'm Andrew. I created the host of Indiepocalypse Radio, which is kind of the Indiepocalypse adjacent thing. Indiepocalypse being the monthly anthology of alternative independent games, as they call them. On occasion, I'm the editor, creator, funder, all that sort of stuff. It's indie games, small press, folks. And speaking of indie games, small press, we've got a developer who does some of, who's made a game before, makes multiple games. This is here. We talk to developers here most of the time. Sometimes we might have if you stay later, we might have a treat of a non-developer. You never know. It happens on occasion. But this first developer, you may know from, Jesus Christ, an issue that was once a very high-numbered issue, but is now within the first third, almost the first fourth of Indiepocalypse Radio. That is Hotel Paradise in issue number 11. It's Kai. Hello, Kai. How are you doing today?
Hey, Andrew, I'm doing good.
Oh, great to have you here. It's like one of these things. I'm going through my backlog of guests to invite to the show, and and I was like, well, because I give everyone three go rounds of asking them, because sometimes people miss emails, they're busy, and I was like 11. That's very long ago. Uh,
Mm. Yeah, that email just hit me at the perfect time. So I was like, yeah, why not? I
yeah,
usually never do this kind of thing, but I figured, hey, sounds good.
yeah. I'm not like this is a. All those people who are like people went just recently to the game developers conference. I'm like
Mm.
this show is like, what if you could do that from home and you actually weren't worrying about networking and making a lot of money and you just kind of want to hang out with people.
Yeah, I've never been to GDC, but like whenever I think about going, I just think, oh, it would be fun to meet up with like all my friends and like indie games.
Yeah,
Like, I don't really like the talks sound good, but usually they put them on YouTube after. So,
right.
uh,
Uh, also very expensive.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I have friends where I live that I can hang out with. Sure, they're not game developers, but they're still fun. And
yeah,
he doesn't charge me $2,000 to go to his house.
exactly. I would probably just go and hang out in that park that's
Yeah,
outside that I hear people talk about.
right. The whatever I don't know the name. Haven't never been, but
I want to say Yerba Buena, but I don't know if that's right. Uh,
that does sound right. But as that's what I was thinking. But I also know that I know someone who's been pounding a lot of yerba mate, so I don't know if it's like I just got yerba on the
yeah,
brain.
that's just my memory, which sometimes plays tricks on me. So I
Yeah,
don't want to trust that.
but I will now. If you can cast your memory back, I'm asking
Okay,
you to rely
okay,
on it to
working hard now.
what was that? So that has to be 2020, I think, when Indiepocalypse
Yeah,
11 came out, and I believe you are. Uh, let's see if I can remember correctly. I believe I did. You know what Indiepocalypse was before I believe I'd contacted you.
no, I
Okay,
don't think I would have.
that is the important question because like here's me going all the way backwards. Like, Hunt. Now, which of these guests did I contact directly, and which of these guests did I just like submit? And I'm pretty good at I think remembering which is which. But it's been a long road. But speaking of a
Yeah.
long road in a way, Uh, Tell me about if I was unfamiliar with Hotel Paradise. What is it?
Oh boy. Well, Hotel Paradise, I made a long time ago.
Yes,
Hotel Paradise. Oh boy, I don't even know what.
2015. You might say.
I'm trying to think of what angle to approach it from because Hotel Paradise meant a different thing for me before I made it, during when I made it, and
Yeah,
after I made it. Um, where it was sort of initially just done as an experiment to see like, can I be a game developer?
yeah.
Like at the time I was having like a lot of doubts and stuff. Like I went to some in-person game jams and made I think a tiny game or two that can't run anymore because they used Unity Web Player
Ah,
RIP.
yes.
Um,
I've seen a lot of Unity web player graveyards in looking up games sometimes through my favorites list.
yeah, I'll make a sequel to those games someday when it would be funny too. But then for Hotel Paradise, I wanted to just make I it was like a combo of two ideas, which was one, can I make a game in a month to prove that I could actually stay focused for a month and get like a finished product type thing, even though it's free
Right.
out. And then number two was I wanted to make a game that was about absolutely nothing. Like a game that was like absolutely devoid of meaning and just see what happens, I guess. And that was my thoughts before it. But then during it, something interesting happened, which is like I realized it's impossible not to like include yourself in the art that you create,
Right.
basically. Because like I would play it and I'm like, there were like things in there that I included that were like I didn't even realize at the time, which was like multiple things. Like first of all, just putting like my own like personal photos on the wall
Right.
combined with like photos of like stuff from the Winnipeg archives
Yeah.
ended up like creating a sense of like, oh, this is like about me, but it's also just supposed to be a pointless game about walking through a hotel.
Yeah, that's
um
the it's the tricky thing is like it still ultimately has to come from you and you it's very impossible to like remove like any kind of bias or personal experience you have like in picking anything.
mm. And then like the weirdest detail like that I didn't notice until long after was at the time my grandfather was living in an old folks home of sorts, and I didn't realize, but like the door placards, whatever those are, like the things that have the numbers on the
Yeah.
doors in my game, the design exactly matched the ones at that old folks home. And I tried like I was like, I never took a photo of that when I made the game. Did I just do that from memory? And I tried looking up like door placard and like none of them looked like that. And I'm like, I guess that must have just been the thing.
Yeah.
Is this game about a hotel or is it about an old folks home or is it about like is it like is it about trying to find your room at an infinite
Right.
hotel? Is it about being drunk and not being able to find your hotel room after a party? Is it about visiting your grandparents for the millionth time at a old folks home? Is it about walking through school corridors endlessly as you're going to
Right.
classes that you hate? Is it like, and I just kept thinking all these things like, what did I even make? And then I put it out and people are like, oh, this isn't like PT. I'm like,
Oh, right.
okay.
Yes, that era of
Yeah, it was that era.
of like looping games because it's not really looping in a way, or I guess
Yeah, I didn't even play or hear anything about PT at the time. But I watched a friend play through it a couple years later in like 2018. And I was
yeah.
like, oh, I guess it is kind of similar-ish.
Right, right.
But
But
if PT had no puzzles and wasn't scary, I
yes.
I think another idea I had before starting the game is that I wanted to make a claustrophobic space feel inviting.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't like doing scary stuff in games usually.
But that is weirdly what a hotel is like very intentionally trying to do. Is like they're trying to
Yeah.
maximize their space, but they don't want you to feel like you're in a weird prison at the same time. Even though like it's like functionally it's a very fancy version of that. Especially if you have like
Mm.
if you have like a very small room, which you get sometimes in a lot of like cities where it's like, oh, I have no space in this room, but it has a nice carpet and a bed and a TV
Yeah.
that they won't let me
And
move.
and there have been like a few times in my life now where I've like been in different hotels and I've like thought about this, and it's like these nice little spaces that you get to stay in for like a day or two and then you move on.
Yeah, and there are these. It's the safe space that some people just like work 40 hours a day. It's a weird like thinking like it's how you can't remove your personal experience. Like your relationship to
Mm.
hotels is going to be so different to so many other people's, and it's like it's a nice it's a cool thing to it of being able to um, just kind of like I think in removing a desire to make anything in particular, you kind of freed yourself from the burden of having to make something in particular, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I That kind of makes sense, I think. It was really just all made on accident, I
Right,
guess.
right. Well, you know what? It's what I mean is like, if it's too easy to get into your own head about things. If you're trying to like, oh, I want to make a PT like game,
Oh yeah, if I aimed for something like that, it would have never gotten done,
right?
I
It's
think.
because you're like, no, no, I can't now. This is not what I wanted it to be. That's not what I
Yeah, I
envisioned.
wasn't aiming for anything in particular, so just letting it evolve in the way I wanted to, I guess, ended up working out.
Right, right. Just
Um,
that you just like you have to make something, especially if you give yourself a deadline. You have to finish something, and it has to has to have an end, which is a great motivator for art.
mm.
But
Yeah, I was while you were talking, I was just looking through. I knew I did a proper presentation, like a Hotel Paradise post-mortem a few years ago.
yeah,
So I'm going through this, seeing if there's any information I forgot. Yeah,
right,
made in a month. It was, yeah, February 2015. Um, a game about nothing, or is it?
oh, that is
Got all these.
such a great post mortem title.
Right. One of the other things I was inspired by was there were a lot of art gallery games being made at the time.
Right.
And I really, really, really love digital museums and art galleries. Like, in real life, I really love going to art galleries and museums, but I like taking my time. So unless I
Yes.
go by myself, like I'm being dragged through these things at a pace that I want to take it slow. I want to like look at art. I want to do sketches of this boat that's in the museum and learn about its
Right.
history or whatever. But like everyone's always dragging me through or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
so all these
it's
digital art gallery
it's a
games
hard
that were
thing.
happening at the time.
Yeah.
Um, at the time, the main games were the works of Strange Think,
Okay.
who made a game called Secret Habitat. Later, made a game called, I think it was called like These Monsters or something like that, where a lot of their art involved like it was these digital art galleries that you would just walk around and look at procedurally generated art. But they had like a system in place where like a certain floor of a gallery would have all these different art pieces created by the same digital artist, I guess, where it would try to be like in the same genre or in the same style. And it was just really neat to walk around and see everything. There's a lot more games like this now, but I think at the time there was only another one called the Museum of Parallel Art,
Okay.
um, where I didn't play that one as much as Secret Habitat. So forgive me if I forget some details, but I think the idea was um, it shows some actual classical art pieces or art pieces that were submitted by um, people who wanted to be in the game, and then like a bunch of like playing cards that just have different like images on them. So the idea is you go through and put down an image in front of this painting, and then you hand off the game to a friend who also does the same, and then you go through it together and you compare like what cards did you put in front of that image and why did you choose that one, and it's like a neat little like art gallery type experience.
Yeah, it is like, and it helps branch the fact that art galleries are sometimes difficult to access. If like not
Mm,
every uh, town has an art gallery.
exactly, yeah.
In fact, most towns probably don't have art galleries.
So I guess maybe I really wanted my game to have a bit of an art gallery feature, so I thought why not just make it like hallways of other places that usually have art or pictures on the
Right.
walls, I guess. So I just used my own photos and public domain photos and put them on there. And you can you could go through the whole game just ignoring them completely, but if you wanted, you could stop and look at the walls. But it's just like walking down a regular hallway. Most people who aren't me won't just walk through a hospital and stop and look at every painting on the wall and think,
Right.
why was
Right.
this
No.
one chosen to be put here? Um,
I have
I,
stopped on occasion. It's the kind of like the mindset when you realize that everything is made, every part of everything is made by somebody. Sometimes I will step back and like
mm,
really look at a space that I've seen 8 million times and like think about it and go, oh, it looks very different. And you notice it's like you can stop and like look at all the little details about everything.
yeah,
And
it's like someone painted this, someone chose this to be here,
yeah,
someone chose this really ugly carpeting, stuff like that.
right. Somebody made that really ugly carpeting. That was someone's job. It's like yeah, it's a mindset that's uh I think there was a good like very short Wallace Shawn essay about how he had or like an excerpt from a book or something about how he remembered like he realized that and then at one day just like that thought left him and he couldn't recover it
mm,
and then everything just went back to being things. But there is
yeah.
they're like even like look at the game you intentionally like even if there's like some generation to the photos and everything how they're spaced within the hallways you know which ones are chosen you got at some point you need to type in even if they're like random values you're deciding ranges there's all sorts of
Yeah,
invisible factors that go into like everything that you can't remove.
right. Yeah, like every bit of the code, like even though it was mostly randomized, like I still had to come up with the code that would do all of that.
Right, and so someone else could have done it like any other person doing the exact same game could have just changed the numbers around, and you find your hotel room much faster or much longer, or
Mm,
like maybe they would be like, oh, I barely want photos to repeat, so I'm gonna have 10,000 of them. I'm gonna scrape public domain images, but there's
yeah, I know that I remember that I chose every photo by hand,
yeah,
and there's like I think there was like the only one that I wanted to change, and it's weird. I did an update at one point, and I couldn't find this photo anymore. Was that at the time I thought that like stock photos were hilarious. So there's one Shutterstock photo of a plate of spaghetti
yeah.
that will appear on the walls, and I really wish it was a plate of rotini instead because that's just a better noodle.
Okay,
And
yeah.
and I found a stock photo for that, but then I couldn't find it anymore, so that one's not in there.
Yeah, it's for listen, spaghetti is it's very vanilla. It's the vanilla of noodles. Like rotini's got like a better texture to it. There you could have put any kind
Rotini,
of
it's just as fun.
yeah.
You can also eat it with a fork. It's good. It's just a good noodle shape.
Yeah.
So
It
that's my one regret
you want to
with the
regret
game.
is that
It
it was
it should
spaghetti.
have been a plate of rotini because that's the better noodle.
It is. It's got all those like little spirals for catching your sauce.
Exactly. It holds sauce so well. You could
There's
even have one of the like if you get whole wheat spaghetti, that
yeah,
stuff does not cling to sauce. Whole wheat rotini has a bit of a chance.
yeah. I've been thinking about. Uh, s- there was a time in my life. I'm not at it yet where I really like dive deep into like what is the difference. I understand the shape difference, but why is there rotini and penne and like what is the difference between fettuccine and all these different like there's thicknesses, but why did someone do that? Why
Mm,
is
mm.
farfalle farfalle far,
Yeah.
the bow tie one? I forget how
Oh
many
yeah,
F's.
yeah, yeah.
I forget
The
how many
cute bow
F's
tie
are
one.
there. But do you now? Important question. I gotta know then. Do you have is rotini your favorite pasta? Or do you have a favorite pasta?
It's got to be rotini. I
Okay.
mean, like in terms of noodle, for sure, easy choice. Although in terms of dish, I mean, you really can't go wrong with lasagna.
Okay.
Although
Yeah.
that I don't even know if it qualifies as a pasta. I mean, it is pasta, but it's kind of like a cake in
Right.
the end.
Because would you?
Um,
Who would cook lasagna noodles and just eat lasagna noodles? Nobody.
right. Like if you
I
did,
don't think.
yeah, it's got to be baked.
Yeah. Now, do you have? I'm realizing. Do you have like a sense memory of certain pastas are in like very specific dishes?
Mm.
Because in my mind, I'm like, oh no, rotini is in like I forget what kind of salad it is, but it's in like a light
Usually,
salad.
yeah, usually it's in pasta salad, but
Yeah.
like for me, I've always made it with just like a meat sauce, I guess.
Huh.
But that is a good point. Like certain types of noodles remind me of like certain points in time. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember in like elementary school or even preschool, they would always give us like elbow noodles. So like macaroni, but it would just be macaroni with butter.
Yeah. No.
So like very, very simple stuff like that.
Right. Why are elbow noodles? Because in my mind, because that's what you make with like American chop suey, and like
I
you
guess
can't
they're like tiny, so
and
they're
like mac and
safe to give
cheese.
to children.
So there's something about like
I
this
don't
is the
know.
bullshit noodle that we just kind of throw in with stuff.
Mm,
Maybe stuff gets caught inside of it. There's a lot of noodle questions that I don't
right,
know.
mac and cheese, like right, craft dinner. It's been
Right.
forever since I've had that. Unfortunately,
Well,
I do
sometimes
like the
we
stuff.
we grow up and we become adults and we no longer
Yeah,
eat craft dinner, or even if we want
or
to,
s-
do
or
we have it?
sometimes you look at the label and realize just like, oh, that's a little too much sodium in there. I should probably
Yes.
not eat this anymore.
Yeah, you ask yourself the question: should I be buying the food that has pictures of SpongeBob on it?
Yeah. God, the
No.
sodium content in food though is something I'm always going to be confused about.
Yes.
It's like how can you sell me a box of something that like it somehow passed this health certification, but it contains more than 100% of like what a human being should consume in a day.
Yeah. I don't.
Like,
Maybe there's maybe these percentages are off because I don't know. I'm not a nutrition fact expert.
yeah, I know it's like an average thing,
Yeah.
but still on average it gets pretty close to 100. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
I have some
what
cup
what's
noodles
going
that upstairs that are like,
Oh my god, I wish I could have cup noodles, but yeah, way too much sodium. I think
yeah,
I found one time that only has 50% of a daily
ooh,
intake of sodium. So that one I was like, maybe, but it's still a lot. Like
yeah. It's a lot of, but now hey, maybe
I'm not a sodium fan in general to begin with. Like I
right,
don't like salty things. I just wish that there would be more options that don't have salt.
right. Where you're not going there for like a salt flavor. You don't think, oh, you know what? The noodles I have only 31% sodium. I could eat three of those things, and still have a little sodium left over.
mm. Yeah, it's been rough.
Yeah. But speaking of sodium, salt, favorites. Speaking of favorites, I almost made that thing, but then we got into a sidebar. I have a question here, a reliable weekly question from Mochi, and it's Kai. I need to know. And now I'll say this beforehand. This is not a quiz. This is not. There's no right or wrong answer to this question. Uh, do you have a favorite Toho character?
Okay. So weirdly enough, I this comes up in conversation more than you'd think.
Well, for me,
I've
it comes
never
up once a
actually.
week, so
Oh, okay.
I'm very used to
Well,
it.
so I haven't actually played Toho myself, but a
Yes.
few friends have played it and showed it to me, and I don't think I can handle it. But I mean, there's only like two characters that I'm even familiar with, and one is the one with blue hair that's stupid, that's related to the number 9. And that one seems good because that's funny. And
That's
then
the
the other
ice
one
one, right?
is, I think, oh, what is her name? Um,
Is it Cyrano?
yes, that's it. That's
Okay.
it. Thank you. So Cyrano, I guess, but I haven't actually played. And then the other one is the only other one I know about is I think it's like Ran, who's like a fox girl who spins really fast.
Oh, I don't
And
know.
I was watching like a friend play it, and they just kept getting body slammed by this spinning fox girl, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, if there are, of course, because of the weird, beautiful nature of like the open nature of Toho, there are all sorts of non-bullet hell Toho games that exist. But
Right. I heard
it's
about
like,
that license where, like, if I wanted, I could drop everything and make a Toho game right now, but
yeah,
you wouldn't be allowed to like make your own game and then have a Toho character appear as a guest star.
yes, I don't know all the specificities of the license. I've never looked it up yet, or even if it's like a official license you have to get, or if it's more like a honor policy, or like a thing you like, not
Right.
official license, but a thing you don't violate. A thing
Yeah,
where
I'm
if you
not completely sure.
right, where I wonder if it's a thing that's a problem if you do it wrong, but if you do it right, there's no issue. I'm not
Yeah,
sure,
I'm not sure myself.
but if
But I
like
should probably try to sit down and play one of those games sometimes, but I'm just not good at reflexes.
yes, no, I was talking to a friend of the show, and contributor, and she was playing a game digital. Now I'm gonna screw it up. It's like digital something soul. Because in my brain it's too close to Digital Devil Saga, so I don't remember. Digital Soul Data, I think it is. But she was like, "How long is this game? How long did it take you to beat it?" I'm like, "I don't know, once, like 10 minutes." It- and it's like how? And I was thinking like, was that one even that hard? I don't think it was, but it's like bullet hells are just kind of a thing where you have to like be if this become a car, if that makes sense, where like how you
Oh,
don't think if like if when you drive you don't think about driving necessarily.
I
Like
kind of get it. Yeah.
yeah, you kind of like you become the shrine maiden. You must become the shrine maiden. It must be an
Right, you just
extension of your body, like a car is an extension of your body.
right, exactly.
So it's like I was like, I don't know how to give you advice on it because it's just kind of a thing you become good at.
Yeah, like I've played a bunch of shmups before and I'm just not that good.
Yeah,
Um
there's a certain pattern recognition, especially to like Toho sort of stuff, and recognizing that your hitbox is kind of small. That also helps.
right, right. Yeah,
But
I just remember watching my friend play and it's like, okay, you have all these bullets and then there's a big explosion area effect is going on and then you just got body slammed by a spinning fox lady. Like it's just a little maybe a little too much for me to take, but maybe if I played a little more I could get it.
yes, it's a whole exciting new world. And speaking of exciting new worlds, we've got an exciting new world of our next guest coming up soon. Kai, thank you for being
Ooh.
here.
Oh, no problem.
I hope you can stick around for the group segment
I think
afterwards.
so.
But we've got another guest, and and I'm gonna spin my wheels while I decide what kind of break image I want to play. I have a lot of them, and I have to decide what I'm in the mood for. Um, but in the meantime, we'll be back in like 1 minute and 55 seconds. Uh, oh, you know what I want? This thing's called Otter Time. I should do that guy because I'm thinking about him a lot. Where is he? There he is. My probably my favorite. That's why he's named it. All right, goodbye.
Myself.
Hello, welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Wooloo with 10. We are back. We've got another guest here who I teased them ahead of time. I said we have a non-developer on the show, but that's because Indiepocalypse, in addition to hosting a lot of game developers, goes out of its way to the best of its ability to find artists who are also not game developers to try and keep the pool wide and the perspectives equally wide. And we've got an artist here who did the cover for issue 20 of Indiepocalypse. It's Teal. Hello, Teal.
Hi there.
Hi. Welcome to the show. Now I gotta. No. Oh no! I realized I don't have a question for for, for cover artists because
Whoop.
likely.
I,
Yeah, sorry. Go.
I was wondering what kind of questions you'd ask because I was listening to some previous episodes and I was like, okay, these are all about games. I wonder
Yes.
what kind of questions I'll get.
Because my usual question is, how did you hear about Indiepocalypse? Because people submit this, you're
hmm
like, no, obviously you didn't hear about it. 'Cause you
Yeah,
just
no, I answered an email from you
yes.
while I was in the line at a taco store, so.
Nice. Loved. As someone who I started, so important question. Artists, how can artists answer emails? Because when you tell an artist you want to pay them for something, they answer emails often very quickly. Why don't game developers
Yeah.
do that?
I don't know. I think game developers might have access like sort of like a Buddhist, like free of all distractions and earthly desires sort
Oh
of
yes.
space. I'm not quite there yet. I like money a lot, so.
Yeah, no, I needed to eat food, to have
hmm
clothes, to do all sorts of things.
Have delicious pasta, like, you know.
Yes. Teal, do you have a pasta preference?
I actually was kind of sitting there wanting to defend spaghetti. I really like to make spaghetti. It's one of the my go-to dishes, and I think I make it pretty well.
Yeah.
If you ever have the chance to try it, you should chop up some jalapenos and like saute those with onions
Okay.
and then add that to the sauce because I find that it gives like a little like sort of like bitter spice kick. I really like that. Anyways.
I've been transitioning over to getting those like deli pastas, which usually don't come in
Ooh.
spaghetti varieties,
Yeah. Yeah,
because
spaghetti is one of the pastas you can't have in a salad cold because it'll just taste like worms.
yes, no, and I was like I like the fresh instead of like dried pasta. I like it
hmm
fresh now. It feels
Oh yeah, fresh noodles are really good.
and I can just
I
do
don't eat them enough like that, but
it's also super cheap. You can get them for like
hmm.
I got some this week for like 97 cents.
Ooh,
And
heck yeah.
yeah, yeah. But now, okay, so video games, huh? What do you?
Yeah.
Let me ask you real quick. What do you think about video games? Let's get those out of the way. What's your opinion on video games? Care for?
Yeah, I mean, I think games are really cool. I find myself watching a lot of like a lot more Let's Plays on
Yes.
YouTube than I actually end up playing games just because when I play a game, I play it for like 2 weeks straight and that's like all I do and it's very unproductive. So I try to avoid doing that unless I am like have like nothing else going on. But yeah, I like to watch like Let's Plays of games. I like to play games. My favorites are the kind where you just kind of move furniture around or
Okay.
build a little house. I'm not so great with the hand-eye coordination ones
Yes.
though, so
So
that's a little polarizing.
that little guy at the beginning of Mario that like walks at you, he's a real pain in the ass. That I assume because he's like he walks at you and then he kills you. And like, what's his whole deal? I don't.
Yeah, I know.
Now
Although
this
I
is.
will
Oh, sorry. No, go.
I will say that like old school like Donkey Kong Country is probably like one of my favorite video games to play. Just because it's very nostalgic, but also I don't think anybody ever wants to watch me play it because I'm still not very good.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to ask you as someone who watched Let's Play. So
Hmm.
I've been it's one of the things I keep forgetting to do is to ask the internet for Let's Play advice because I have a very specific Let's Play niche that I need filled.
Ooh.
Where I really enjoy Chip and Ironicus a lot, but I don't know because they do very like pre-recorded, talk about the
Hmm.
things I know a lot about style of Let's Plays that feel commentary adjacent, you know.
Yeah.
And that's like I want to like be able to uh, experience the fullness of a game. I guess is what I'm looking
Hmm.
for.
Yeah. I I feel like I don't have
Yeah,
very much advice. I kind of like jump from
right, right.
uh like streamer to streamer or like
That's
watch friends, but yeah, I if you get any answers for that, I would be interested as well
yeah,
because I kind of like lately just having the sounds of a game in the background,
yeah,
like ambient noise. I find that very fun, especially I know that indie horror is like super common, but I think that like ambient like horror spaces is very fun to listen to.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, indie horror is a whole other like because it's
mhm.
like the games are almost secondary in a way.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I don't know, there's like a certain aesthetic about it that I think people really like. Like they're very like I don't know, they feel a lot like internet as a place
Yes.
sort of thing. Like you really just get like sort of sucked into them. And I think that that's really fun. I really want to check out the game that you were talking about with Kai that they had made with the hotel because that sounds like 100%
Oh
something
yes,
that I would
yes.
enjoy.
No, it is very good. It's why I mean, every game in Indiepocalypse comes with a 100% my stamp of approval. I've had people ask me, "Oh,
Mhm.
they'd be like, oh, thank you for including my game," and I'd be like, "Buddy, if I didn't like a game, it wouldn't be here."
It's like thank you for making the game.
Yes, exactly. Like, oh, I can't believe it got included. It's like, listen, I know I have a 10 game per month quota to fill, but I will fill that
Mhm.
quota by knocking down doors and telling people to give me their games before I ever include a game that I don't like.
For sure. That's awesome.
It
Yeah,
is
so
so. Yes, no, no. Had a thought going. Go it.
oh yeah, I was just like thinking like so you kind of other than games like you've been like kind of looking at artists and um having them do covers for your zine and like you seem very immersed in like the indie world as far as creators goes. So like
Yes.
for artists, what does it like kind of look like with you looking for art that you enjoy?
My easy way to get I guess cover artists is whenever I see art that I like on Twitter, I add them to a secret list,
Oh, nice.
and then I will go through that list and like every month I'll like just start opening a bunch of Twitter accounts and just start looking through people's art to be like what is a vibe I'm looking for, like what is a vibe that has not been like too similar to some of the more recent ones. Like
Hmm.
sometimes I'm like, I want something that looks like really grungy, black and white, like it'd be a punk flyer.
Oh yeah.
And it's like sometimes I want something that looks like very like nice and painterly, and I will be like, because I never want to feel static, you know.
Hmm. For sure. Yeah, I like the variety of all the cover art, even just kind of scrolling through the website.
Yeah, it's a lot of cool art. There's like a million people out there making very cool art, and I always want to be like, hey, you know, uh, because artists like you've got a whole other challenge of how do you get people to care about your art when it's not the anime they like.
Yeah, no, that's always kind of tough. I feel like that affected my art a lot in that I like spitefully stopped drawing anime after
Right.
a certain point in life because
Yeah.
I was just like, no, you're gonna pay attention to my thing now. And
Right.
then I proceed to go on like a 7-month hiatus, so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
hasn't worked.
Right. Then you bring a bunch of your gorgeous original art to a comic convention, and everyone's like, "Where's Naruto?" And you're like, uh,
Gosh, yeah, I've had that happen before. I think that yeah, I don't know. I really like anime conventions and like kind of having something a little bit different, but it's
yeah.
always like a very interesting dilemma of where it's like, how do I make this art like meaningful to someone? And like I think that like the best answer that I have, I guess, is to have like a consistent sort of world that you build with it.
Right.
And just like I am one of those people who just I like very certain genres, but like a ton of variety within that when I see art. So I think that just like quantity is like the thing that always catches my eye when I see like other indie artists doing their thing is just like how much have they like built on this idea? It's always exciting.
Yeah. There is. Uh, I have the
Sorry.
no, I was saying I have the opposite problem where at like anime convention, or even just like scrolling through someone's like Instagram or like media tab,
Hmm.
I was like, no, I don't want to see the anime. What does it look like when you want to draw art that is just like, not to say that people don't want to draw anime art, a lot of people
Hmm.
do, but it's like, well, let's be real. What do you want to draw that's your own? What does that
Yeah,
look
for
like?
sure.
Because I think it tends to people's styles probably also skew a little when they are drawing like
Hmm.
familiar things.
For sure. Yeah, there's definitely a kind of like difference between like, if you're drawing a couch and you're like, I have the idea in my mind that I'm drawing a couch, or like, this like certain character, it's like, I don't know, it sometimes like gets a little bit like self-referential in the way where you're like, I'm drawing like the idea of this thing and not like building on it as much
Right.
as like you could. I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I definitely am in the same boat where if I see like the same character drawn too much, I just kind of tune them out. But I have to remember that not everybody's brain works like that. So it's just like the constant battle of like, okay, what's like familiar and like, what like will make people like interested in this art that I want to kind of like share with like the experience of that interest with them, but like also wanting to show something unique. So kind
Yeah.
of the internet art dilemma.
Right. It's like, how do you get someone to look at your OC without? It's like it's a real trap, I think, because then it's like, well,
Mhm.
you get a lot of it's you get your big clicks, and then you're like, thank you for checking out this fan art. Check out my original art, and it's like the classic 8,000 or
Mhm.
80,000 retweets versus 2 likes on your follow up post. It's like, oh,
I know. Yeah, it's always tough to kind of balance with that. I'm not even sure how I would draw some of the more popular characters
right.
right now. I'm just like, I mean, you see like my little guy going in
Yes,
the
yes.
GIF here,
I'm
and I'm just
mesmerized
like,
by the little guy.
thank you. This is like kind of based off of an idea I had in a sketchbook in like 2015 where I sort of drew like kind of like little doodles of this kind of thing happening, and I only just got around to making it move, so it's very exciting.
No,
But
that's
yeah.
sometimes things take a lot of time to take shape. I remember I was reading like like that first volume of like Chris Ware's like Acme Library, and like I
Hmm.
I can't remember, but it was like the idea for building stories was like kicking around for so long,
Yeah.
of just like, here's this very difficult to execute idea that's like I've had sitting around for like 10 years. Sometimes
Hmm.
ideas will just like sit around because you can't like execute them, or like somebody needs to give you
Yeah.
money for them.
Yeah, for real. It's kind of like interesting because I'm the kind of person who like as soon as something is like kind of complete,
Right.
I'll sort of forget about it. So it's really kind of challenging because to keep an idea, sometimes I want to like sit on it for like a long time and be like, okay, like I'm just going to keep this in my head so that I can continue to sort of like work on it internally. And then it doesn't actually like get out in the world. But then if like an idea feels too old, it's kind of scary. It's like, okay, like has this sort of like surpassed its expiration date to be like relevant out in the world? So I guess like I don't know where I was going with that, but
Right. No, but
it's just like
it's difficult
having,
because
yeah.
sometimes if you leave an idea for too long and then you approach it, like you might be a whole different person approaching it. And then
Hmm. Yeah, that happens. That happens a lot. I think the best thing to do is to just like approach something head on, like as it enters my mind and not think about it.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm just now coming out of a like a seasonal job, so I had like kind of no time to do anything, and I'm just revving up my art brain again for the summer because I'm like, well, I'm gonna have a bunch of time to make things now. So that's really exciting, and I'm trying to like brush off old ideas, and it's weird to realize like, okay, some of these I'm actually like I never made them, but like I'm actually like fine letting go of those.
right.
And now I'm kind of on the search for new stuff that I want to communicate with my art. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, because it's like you can have like, oh, I have these little characters. You can
Hmm.
have like little characters that you. I call them little characters. I don't know what I'm trying to. Little characters. They're just like,
My little characters. Well, my
yeah,
characters are frequently very small, so
sure. I think it's
that.
because it's this little dog I keep looking at because it's not taking up the full little box it lives
Mhm.
in. But it
Yeah,
also has
it's
the same
charming.
energy of an aunt being like, "How are your little characters doing, Teal?"
I know, right? Like, oh, my little characters.
Oh, Teal's on Instagram. I saw one of your little characters on there.
That that's such an accurate description, though. It's like funny. I was drawing this character and just thinking about like, okay, like what do I want to do with this character? I feel
Right.
like the GIF ended up accidentally sort of summarizing like the entire mood that I have about my art right now, which is just like, all right, I've got to adjust this, but how? So that's, I don't know, that's pretty fun.
Yeah, because it's like, how often do you go into something where it's like, um, is it just like a sketch or just a concept of an idea versus like, oh no, this is a part of a grand ambition that I'm only showing you a part of, or how much of it is? How often is it like, oh no, I just want to draw a cool person, and this is a cool person that lives in this frame of an image.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the time it kind of ends up being a little bit of both. Like I'll like be sketching and part of me like really wants to make like a larger project and like get like really into thumbnails, but
Right.
then I think that I got so good at like the sketching part for a while that it ended up just being like tons of sketchbooks with like a lot of like sort of like finished ideas that I never like got around to completing. So I think that in typical Teal fashion, my brain is like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting that we have time coming up. I'm going to start sketching thumbnails again
Yes.
and see what new ideas emerge. So I don't know. I think that there is something really gratifying about like the process and like the first parts of a process
Right.
that are like very exciting. Um,
It's almost
and
it's almost as if the craft is just as important as the end result, and maybe you wouldn't want a computer to do it for you because you're losing out on something essential to art.
yeah, it's like that is like a pretty interesting way to phrase it. I think that I don't know, I think that like a good amount of that impulse might just be because like the internet already has like so much
Yeah.
on it and like within like my sketchbooks or like the first parts of a project, like those get to be like very like personal and private. So I think that like I don't know, maybe it's just that there's a lot of like all of the time that like you put into a finished product is going to be seen
Yeah.
by a lot of people online, and it's, or maybe not that many people online, which is
Right.
worse. But yeah, it's I don't know, I think that like the communication aspect of art, when it finally leaves your brain, is something that can be like very challenging to overcome in some aspects. But yeah, I don't know.
No, yeah, it's art. It's a broad,
I'm,
it's a prideful
I'm
thing.
here talking about art for the first time in like months, and I'm like, whoa,
Yes, no, I get excited.
revelation.
This is where I love to talk about art.
Hmm.
Because I'm very much like, no, it's an unsolvable equation. There's no answer to art. Art is
I know, it's the best.
it's this broad subjective thing, and it's beautiful.
For sure, it's really cool too, just to see how many indie projects for art, like even things like as elaborate as animation and
Yeah.
games, like that they're just like you can just see online, and it's like astounding how much people develop and like create like these like amazing masterworks of art. And I think that part of the anxiety around a lot of indie artists now is just that like there's not a great there aren't like great ways to showcase them in a way
Yes.
that they get the time that they deserve. So
Right. And
yeah,
and
yeah.
I increasingly see the sentiment where like the artist has to be almost as or more important than the art they're producing. It's like
Hmm.
you have to put your personality forward, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think that that's kind of rising up too, and like the discussions about like AI art, and that's like a whole can of worms that we probably don't have time to talk
No,
about.
no. AI art is for telling your friends in Discord, "Hey, can I get a picture of Gex eating dinner with Morrissey?" And then
Yeah, exactly.
and then that's what he gives you, and then you're like, "Good, I'm never gonna turn this into a children's book. It's gonna live privately in our Discord channel."
Exactly. Like Dolly Mini is for me to make like generate images of hamsters on
Yes.
piles of money, and they look really messed up, and it makes me laugh.
Yeah, right. It's like how can it why why doesn't why doesn't Midjourney know what Bubsy is? Or how
I remember trying to like look up my art in the AI thing. It did not know who I was, so I feel safe from it.
yes. Well,
But
maybe you should draw more hyper detailed white women.
yeah, I guess I should probably like get on that drawing more like, I don't know, Sakura from Naruto with like big boobs or whatever.
Yeah.
But
That's the other fun thing. It's like weird. I didn't tell him to make all these people white. Why are they all white all the time?
I know. I'm just like, huh. Um
Almost
that's
as if technology has unconscious bias.
Whoa, it's almost like technology is made by people who
No, it's a
imbue
computer.
their biases with it. Ah.
It's a computer that's living in my computer. He's my friend. ChatGPT is learning and learning to love. It's not just a Google search that talks back to me.
I'm just gonna feed it like tons of images that say I'm alive, and then if then in like 2 months it'll start gaining consciousness, as far as I know.
Yeah, and everyone will be like, "Oh my god, it's the beauty, it's the beautiful thing, it's the future. I'm in love. I'm marrying my ChatGPT."
Everybody just wants the Disney Channel original movie Pixel Perfect to be real.
I don't even know. We're showing our Disney Channel age gap. I don't,
I wait, I guess I don't know how old you are. I don't know if I should ask that on stream.
no,
But
I'm 22 years old.
oh my
No, I'm
gosh.
not. I'm not. I was saying like every young artist. No, I'm in my
Uh,
30s. I'm.
yeah, I was just like, there's no way it took me a minute. But yeah, it's
Could you imagine me starting this when I was 19?
gosh.
Then people would
So
respect me because I'd be like a little wonderkind or whatever.
it's so amazing how age plays into things, like,
Yeah.
and how it used to be like a huge point of like stress for me that I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting so old and I haven't accomplished anything yet. And now I'm just kind of like, yeah, but could a 20-year-old do this? And then
Right.
I just like go to sleep at 8 p.m.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, I'm where I need to be actually.
Right. Let me do some quick math real quick. 1970.
motion focused games, and then that got even more so by the end of the Wii's
Yes.
life
Uh-oh.
cycle.
Mhm.
But for the Switch, everything's just gamepad
Oh
now.
no, I lost a lot of audio. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh no.
No, that's because I need to change. I need to stop doing math on stream.
math.
It's because when I was doing math earlier, and I always forget. What I need to do is I need to change my stop recording button.
Ah.
It's my
Ah.
minus. So whenever I was doing math, whenever we were talking about how old you need to be, I think about that's when I lost it.
Oh no.
Oh.
So, but that's why you got to be here live, folks.
Yeah, exclusive content. If
Yes.
you don't
we
show up, then you don't get to
Wait,
listen to me talk about.
yeah.
I can't remember what I talked about.
That means you
talked
missed
to-
the info on favorite Toho characters.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the
Mhm.
nature of art and that Teal's favorite Toho character is Patchouli Knowledge.
Yeah, patchouli knowledge rules.
Yes, sorry for cutting your half of your segment out, Teal.
That's okay.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
yet another challenge that the indie artists have to overcome.
Right. Remembering to check that you don't. I should change that right now, honestly. I wonder if there's a way for me to do this smartly. But
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I kind of remember what you were talking about a little bit, like stuff with indie spaces and stuff, and
Mhm.
that's kind of like why I agreed to this podcast anyway, because I like your philosophy a lot
Well, thank you.
with that.
Okay. I think I got it this time. I mean,
Ooh.
I switched it to be shift and shift, not shift, or like the division and multiplication ones on the numpad.
Nice.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
It's
Now just don't divide or
yes.
multiply anything.
I divide and multiply a lot less on stream. But occasionally I need to look at how old people are when they made works of art.
I think
Mhm.
like for me, my record button is always like control page up and page
Yeah.
down, like things like that.
I probably should do something like that. I'm just very lazy. And I only record like once a month to do the trailers, and then otherwise, I only use a hotkey to record once a month to do those. The rest of the time, when I'm doing the stream, I just click the button.
Right.
But yeah, though that is a general like. I started this because I did not like the whole, the grind, of art,
Mhm.
especially in games of like, you have to spend 6 years. You either have to have like $4 million or the time equivalent of that to make like a valid commercial game.
Mhm.
And I was like,
Right.
that sucks. What if people could make money? I want to make shorter games. What if people could make money doing that? And now I'm trying to brute force it into existence still.
Yeah, that's great. Like
Manifest.
that kind of thing not existing in animation is why I like ditched animation as what I wanted to do and
Yes.
started
Mhm. Oh,
looking
fellow
at other stuff.
animator. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be like super into it, and sometimes I still like think like with like movies coming out that are finally stylized, like people are like, oh my
Mhm.
god, Spider-Verse, oh my god, Puss in Boots, and I'm like, do you even remember Meet Buck? Like they were doing it like 15 years ago. Like everything's still trying to
know.
catch up to that. But that's where I was like, when I was into animation, I never saw like the divide between 2D and 3D and why that had to be there, and I'm kind of glad that big studios are starting to catch on to that.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, I never saw that. But every class at the time was like, either you're going to learn the fundamentals of animation, or you're going to learn how to operate Maya. And
Yeah.
and I was like, and it always came across as, you're going to learn the fundamentals of animation and never find a job, or you're going to operate Maya and not know how to fend for yourself in the world of animation. And I'm like, how do you even become a storyboard artist through these? And it's by choosing neither and like becoming
Knowing
an illustrator
somebody,
or something.
knowing somebody who has a job there and being like, I don't know. I saw like a tweet once, I can't remember who it was by. I saw a tweet once that was like saying like, "Oh, how do you break into the animation industry?" And like their answer was like, "I don't think you really can." Like their experience is that they like had to like continually break back into the animation industry with like every new thing, and I was just like, hmm. And now I'm
Yeah.
seeing all these tweets about the industry kind of getting really kind of bombarded with just very like capitalist systems that are making it harder to create. And I'm just like, what if all of the animators just came together and formed like a big indie we tell
Exactly.
stories that are actually like individual and cool kind of thing. I guess that's
Yeah.
like somewhat of like the pipe dream regardless, but I hope
Yeah.
that we see like a lot more like indie animations, because like those are still like my favorite things to come across online and watch.
Yeah. So I know someone attempted something like that a few years ago, and I don't know if it's
Mhm.
still going on, but like one thing I always think is well, with uh when I was really into like looking at like student animations that were
Mhm.
like student animations are always in my mind going to be better than anything that any big company can spit out, because you get the most unique stuff, you get the most personal stuff,
Mhm.
and it's just great, these students creating for the, well, I guess to get jobs, but for the sake of creating before they get absorbed into the industry and their style fades away forever. But
Mhm.
like anytime I see these animations, I just thought like, why do these people even want to work at like the big mouse when they could just like say, actually I quit, and then like put all their animations together and then like sell that as a package every year for like people to watch and try and make it a cool cultural thing. Because like basically what you're doing with Indiepocalypse, like, because
Mhm.
all of those animations that students make, like they're still held by these old rules where it's like, oh, you probably shouldn't upload this online. Or like, oh God, I remember applying to Sheridan and they made me send in a demo reel on a flash drive in the
Oh my
mail.
gosh.
And it's like, that was basically everything I needed to know that this was like completely out of touch. Um,
I have a similar. If indie pockets was ever self-sustaining, I would turn my eyes in some way towards indie animation. I was like, because it looks like what's more broken than games and more desperate looking.
God, yeah.
And it is indie and also like I love it. So it's like I'm I guess unsurprisingly a big art fan, a big fan of independent art.
Mm,
I'm I've been regretful because when I was doing a show in Boston, someone like a student, mass art students came up, and I was like, "Hey, contact me. I would love to play indie animations during this radio show I host. I don't care. Like I love indie. I'll play this during bumpers. It's cool." But then I realized like, oh, I should have taken something from them too, so I could contact them because I had this idea of like, ah, what if during the pledge drive I had this mass art indie animators block of just like indie animation, and then I was like, I don't know how to contact those people, but I
mm,
do.
Mhm.
I love because like where do you showcase indie animation?
That's
yeah.
always kind of the question. That's kind of part of why I was thinking like about getting more out into the world just to find those places. I know that one of my former coworkers had like a mini animation like sort of showcase that they were hosting
Yeah,
every, like, this is like before COVID. But like they had like local indie animations like that they were showing just like in their living room or at like a local like recreation center that was really cool. I should see if that's still going on. We kind of
yeah.
fell out of touch after the pandemic, but um yeah, I think that those are just the kind of things that like need to be like done independently and are
Like
thus like a little bit more difficult to find.
like somebody needs
Mm.
to say like, okay, I'm the one who's gonna do this, and you have to. Everyone has to realize this is not very commercial. You know, no one's gonna.
Yeah. You kind of need to be able to sort of have like a way to survive first that's not like completely putting your eggs in the art basket. I think that's kind of the main thing that a lot of us are struggling with right now is just like, how do I pay my bills so that I can have a space to make this stuff? But
Yeah. It's got to go back to the old days where you would just like have like a proper patron
Yes.
who would just give you money and then be like, I never want to see you in real life ever, but keep making stuff.
It's
got to go back to
that's
that.
the dream.
Like, it's like we just have to reconvince rich people that it's cool to just pay to pay like a gremlin to live in your basement or whatever and just create art endlessly.
Yeah,
I feel like NFTs already. I feel like NFTs already have like fallen out of like the entire like culture of things. But wouldn't that have been a great grift? Is like being like, yes, I'm making you an NFT. It's one of a kind, but really, it's just someone taking commissions to draw like a weird lion.
Yeah, the other day I was thinking of doing that kind of thing where it's like you use like a buzzword, but it's really just you making a thing yourself. Or it's like, oh yeah, I've got this great AI that can make art. And it's really just me, but give me those AI bucks that you wouldn't normally give an artist.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
it's so weird how like technology, like people who are like really into tech keep on getting excited about technology being able to do these very human things, and it's like with half of that money you could just have a human do that thing, and usually they're doing it anyways. So like, what's the deal here?
Yeah, well, the deal is that all those people are ideas guys, and they want to just be able to type their stories into a computer without having to pay a pesky artist.
As a fellow ideas guy, I'm just like, I understand this, but also
yeah, no, it is an ideas guy with no respect for art. It is like like the not realizing that like all the steps that go into the process, and the thing is, your AI animation is never going to have like those beautiful weird little like smears and those kind of like very personal like animator touches that you get from a person drawing things, because people don't draw things the same way.
Exactly. I've like kind of gone like to this idea recently is like people, like a human being is kind of like the ultimate technology, right? Like we are like the thing that we like base all of our tech on, and like the skill, like all like a lot of the skills that are trying to be emulated are just kind of like doable by people, especially in like the realm of AI. But yeah, it's very like fascinating how much like it's almost like people want technology to make us not like no longer reliable on other human beings.
Right.
Which is so weird, because it's like you could just be reliant on human beings and like acknowledge that you're not like the only person who needs stuff. I don't know. It's the philosophy of it all.
That other people can like do things that you can't do. It's like it's like exceptionalism taken to the extreme degree, where it's like I should be able to do all things because I'm really great. I shouldn't be bad at it.
Rich people are tired of hoarding resources, and now they want to hoard skills.
Right, exactly. So they're using those resources so that they can theoretically buy skills, but they'll never be able to do things besides make white women in space helmets. So. One day, maybe.
One day. Will there ever be enough white women wearing space helmets? Will we ever reach our threshold where it's like, maybe this is enough of them?
It's maybe, but not for the right tech person. No, they'll just cycle in and out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like really my Indiepocalypse long game, is that I will just outlive most of the people in the industry. Just through sheer perseverance.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, the stamina being like the tortoise in the race.
sort of by
Yeah,
default, I become an elder statesman just because there are no other elders.
yeah. Everyone else has died out because they've been like basically torn apart.
Yeah. This that's the secret. If you work for yourself, you can't tear yourself apart. Well, I mean, you shouldn't.
Well,
It's more within your control whether or not you're torn apart by your superior.
yeah,
You're hopefully not just aiming to exploit yourself, but
right.
doesn't mean you still can't find yourself in situations where you're just exploiting your own time.
Yeah, being conscious of your own time is definitely like one of the hardest things is like when doing indie stuff, it's
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
God, time management so tough because like if you just work constantly, you'll get burned out and then you won't be able to work at all. But then if you don't work enough, nothing will get done. So
Right.
Mhm.
It's why I am very much in the I'm between like I don't work on weekends and I the last 2 hours in the day are my movie time, or if I don't have movies, something else, other art,
Mhm.
and I have to I very deliberately space out how much I can work because otherwise, if I was working, all day every day, being like, oh, I've got to be on every social media, I've got to do 8,000 TikToks because Indiepocalypse needs to be successful yesterday. Um, it would kill me. I'd rather just have a good time.
Mhm. I mean,
yeah,
like, that's kind of the thing about art, right? Like, I mean, I know this conversation has been had a million times, but like, art is part of communicating what it is to like be alive, and it's like
Yeah,
you can't do that unless you remind yourself what it feels like to be like alive and like a person enjoying the world.
yeah, and all that best art you like comes from other lived experiences
Mhm.
and not just the thing you're trying to make.
Unless the only art you like is white women wearing space helmets, then
Then you're feasting for days. You're like, oh, I love
Ah,
to go outside. It's like,
Mhm.
like I've said plenty. An old adage from the show is, George Lucas liked old Flash Gordon serials and like Akira Kurosawa movies, and people make Star Wars
Mhm.
now like Star Wars.
Yeah. It's just very kind of like recycling a lot of the concepts that they like see from the finished products, but not the
Right.
ones that like actually went into it and made it what it was.
Yeah,
right.
it's like the video game equivalent is like, did you make is your Zelda like game just inspired by Zelda, or is it inspired by walking around the woods behind your house when you were a child? It's like
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah.
it's about like uh uh that.
I think that's kind of an interesting thing that I see a lot with like just like a lot of animation and like indie art nowadays is that a lot of people kind of make like things like based off like the very like kind of like shonen or like shoujo anime like inspired stuff, and it's really interesting. So it's something that is also very nostalgic to me, but I'm also just like I don't know. Sorry if that that was an
No.
incomplete thought. I'm just like I just see a lot of it, like even in just like when I was watching actual like Cartoon Network animation, like
Yeah.
back when like Steven Universe was coming out, and like there's like OKKO and stuff like that, and like the animations that like were very much like made by people who love animation, and
Yeah.
like it
Mm.
shows, but like also like it's reached the point where it's like I can't keep seeing that you love animation in this thing. I want to see something else.
Yes. Right. Or it's like, and I think there's also a difference between like, do you love animation or do you love to animate?
Yeah.
Because I think that's the beauty in seeing some stuff like, especially the early like Masaki Yuasa stuff. It's like these people love
Mhm.
to make drawings move around.
Oh my gosh, I know. I still like I love seeing the little gifs that like Science Saru, like the Sakuasa like Twitter
Yeah.
posts every once in a while. I'm just like, this is it.
Yes, like these are people who love animation as a medium, not like I grew up
Hmm.
loving these cartoons. You know.
Yeah, like it was really exciting to see Utena references like the first like 3 times, but then after that I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay.
You're like, yes, okay, that shot from the intro of like the sword coming towards the screen is a very good shot.
Yes.
I recognize that. That's an exceptional
Hmm.
shot, but
Yeah, it's just like I'm like, go listen to the Ikuhara interviews and then we'll talk, like
yeah,
get
go
at the roots of
Yeah.
it.
right. You have to like. It's the problem with like there is that long problem of like you need to have a myriad of inspirations
Hmm.
or else because all your I said it 2 seconds ago. That's how quick they reiterate that all your favorites have a myriad of inspirations,
Hmm.
and like if you don't, it just kind of it's. I think that's I think I'm starting to see a lot of. I'm not convinced. Like a lot of superhero movies are reviewing a lot worse and doing a lot worse at like the box office. I'm not convinced that they're actually worse. I think they're all probably, if you like to look at them in a vacuum, the same general quality.
Hmm.
But I feel like people are finally getting fatigued on it. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
because I remember when I remember people being like, oh, you got to check out this one. This one's a different one. I'm like, wait, no. What's different about this one? This one feels like it's the same as the last one. But if it's like this only world, if it's the only world then like,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
throwing a slightly different, it's pasta, you know. You're
It's
like,
pasta.
you're like, oh yeah,
Just like pasta.
Penne and ZD are very different than each other. I'm like, are they that different? They're not.
It depends. I guess it just depends on how immersed in the world of pasta you are,
Right.
but it's like,
Yeah.
if it's just the same sauce over and over again, the pasta's shape doesn't make that much of a difference. But
Yeah.
like if you're like
Yeah.
really into like creating like a whole new dish for each pasta noodle, then like, that it ends up making something very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm just very hungry right now.
Yeah.
This doesn't have anything to do with art.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing.
I guess what I'm saying is they should they if they haven't already they should start they should be teaching that boss baby tweet in art school. I think
Yeah. Exactly.
I think it sums up a lot of issues that come up sometimes.
To an outsider, the difference between spaghetti and spaghettini is nothing, but
Yes.
to a real pasta head, it's like you gave me the wrong sauce for this.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it's like, you picked up the wrong noodle.
Right.
Like
And it's the same thing where it's like if you only eat pasta and you're like, oh no,
yep.
there's a world of difference between these two things. Meaning like, no, actually, have you ever tried this thing called toast? It's very different than pasta.
Mm,
That's actually what you mean when you say something's different.
Hmm.
yep.
But
So good.
it's like, yeah, it's a whole art. What a world. Love to talk about it. I guess, but it's also why I think I don't think whenever I saw people posting like GDC talks, I'm like these seem like they're boring. This is not the kind of thing that I am just particularly interested in. Of this very kind of structure, like let's solve video games. I guess it's also like because people I think come from more of like a tech background a lot of the times, which is very problem solving,
Yeah.
and art is not a problem you can solve.
I guess I'm in like a semi-unique position with
Right.
that, where I started like as an artist and wanted to be an animator, and I only got into programming through necessity as a means to create games, but I turned out to actually kind of really like programming.
Yeah.
So I've kind of got a bit of both there.
Yeah, I'm not some math averse artist. I like math. I'm good at it often. I like spreadsheets, but also
Spreadsheet. Love a spreadsheet.
spreadsheets aren't life. I'm gonna remake that Linda Barry comic, except they're holding a spreadsheet, looking at a picture of a spreadsheet, or whatever. The one, the one where she's like, I don't get art, and then they mimic
I
the
don't-
art.
Mhm.
What a beautiful summation of art.
It's like one of those comics that you see and you're like, this is like the bedrock for
Yeah.
like this is the foundation that I want to build off of. I want to be as succinct as this.
Right. I want to have this understanding of
Mhm.
like the form, and it is where a picture says a lot of words.
Mhm.
Like it's my difficulty sometimes in writing alt text because I don't know how to like accurately describe, because like you have to describe the idea behind, because I feel like anyway there's a lot to that. There's a whole other
Mhm.
discussion of like pictures do say 1,000 words.
They really do. It is a challenge to be like, okay, how do I make this alt text have like the meaning without also like give it like, I don't know. It's like how do I now become an artist with like the wording
Right.
like I did with the image?
Do I describe how like because it's also art is meant to evoke a feeling and a meaning. Do I
Mhm.
describe that? If like can my words just get
Right.
across that, or do I have to say character is sad?
Like I think that like with text, like there are ways to evoke like the same sort of very like portrait of what is happening in the image while
Yeah.
also like invoking that emotion without necessarily saying it. It just takes longer. And I don't does
Right.
alt text have like a character limit? I don't
Turns out prose is a skill.
Oof.
Yeah.
How
Yeah. Using language to describe like meaning in art is tough because like yeah, language is very good at um like inferring some information, but then like that kind of information, that's interesting because it's all up to interpretation to begin with. Um so if as an interpreter you kind of put your own inferred meaning on it, then that might be like covering up some meaning. Um
exactly.
Meanwhile, like language is versatile enough that you could just be like playing a game with friends and it's like where's the bad guy, and you could just say in the pit, and then it's like you might not even know where the pit is, but then you could be like, oh, that place, of course. That kind of language. Uh
Yeah.
so it's interesting, but yeah.
Mhm. This like kind of reminds me of another like art pet peeve I was getting for a while on like for posting on social media, which is that like a lot of image just like descriptions like before the days of alt text like would be like have like this amazing like comic or like image that like looked like very like emotional, but then like the description would be like, this is a comic about anxiety, and then I would just be like, well, now I don't need to read it. Like I feel I'm I'm like very harsh in that way where I'm just like I want to like look at something and be like confused by it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Right.
like so that's like another thing. It's like if people are just like, oh, this is like this like 4-panel thing about like anxiety and like the alt text, then it's just like, okay, this is the person who needs the alt text getting what they can get out of like it even being there in
Yeah,
the first
exactly.
place.
Yeah, it's very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
It
I mean,
should
alt
always
text
be
doing what we can for like making things more accessible is always good. I'm gonna say that also.
Yes,
But yeah,
Hmm.
it's like wanting to deliver the highest quality, I think, is
yeah,
always a
like
challenge.
being good at alt text is a whole other skill in and of itself.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yes, you can not be good at it, but it's still, if what you can conjure is a comic about anxiety, sometimes it's good enough.
Exactly.
it's like, putting through the effort you've got, and not necessarily stressing too much about what everything can possibly be. There was a thing for what is. Okay, so this
Hmm?
is something I cannot stand about the internet. I listen. No one is shadow banning you if you don't have links. If you have links in your thing, okay, it's a lot. If you, it's not true. There's a thing. It's like a thing that I thought was cool. I'm like, where is a link to their thing? I can't. There's nothing here. How do I? They want me to support their crowdfunding thing, but there's no link to it. What? I'm,
Yeah, I was always so confused by that. I'm just like, doesn't the internet like I feel like having links would make something more popular because then more people could like find the way to get to the thing that they like, but
yes.
I think well, I think the whole thing about that is like if there like is an algorithm controlling what you see and what you don't see,
Mhm.
then on a website such as twitter.com, having any link that links to anywhere but twitter.com would be a bad thing because then people are leaving your ecosystem.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And since they own the website, they can, and they own the algorithm, they could say if there's any link that leads to not Twitter, then we can just suppress that. And they've visually shown this in the past because you used to be able to embed Instagram images directly into
Oh.
Twitter just by posting a link to Instagram, I'm pretty sure. But then you can't do that anymore. It just turned into links that wouldn't turn into rich context. So why not go a step further and stop those things from even appearing unless people look for them is what I've heard, but
Yes.
I haven't actually seen any like solid proof behind like, okay, if you're just scrolling through, will they try and hide these things? They
Right.
have every reason to, but I don't know if they're actually doing it.
And I'll admit that I am from
It's
a
very anti like internet in my opinion because the beauty of the internet is going to all these different websites
yes,
and
yes,
having your
Exactly.
own place that where you can link to your favorite stuff and whatever, and then you don't even you can't even control the CSS on your own web page now. Uh,
not
remember how
not
remember
just
how Neopets would just give kids like a HTML page that you could
yes.
customize?
I plugged
That was
I
the
put in midis on
best.
my store page.
Yeah. Oh my god, it was
I
so
had
good.
I had like Final Fantasy VII midis on my store page or whatever. There was a
I re-
beautiful world.
Gosh, I
I'm
remember
real
like
I love
oh
it.
sorry.
No, I want to go back to that kind of stuff. Like I just love it.
Mhm.
But
Gosh, anybody remember like that one website like She's Art or whatever? There
Semi
was like it was
familiar.
like a DeviantArt clone website, but they had like
Right.
super customizable web like pages for art. And I just remember being like, I don't know how to do any of this, and like slowly figuring it out. And then the website went down, and I was like, well, I guess I'll never experience that much customization. Although I think like Tumblr has pretty good page customization, if I
Yeah,
remember.
Tumblr still lets you edit
That's
HTML
good.
and CSS.
yeah,
I
what
think
else?
they've even gotten better at that.
Your own website.
Yes.
You there you are.
Yes.
There you control all the CSS and the HTML. You can do
Yep.
whatever
Woo.
you want.
I want people to start making their own personal websites again so badly.
Yes.
Like, I'll, like, every time I see an artist being like, oh, hey, I have, like, basically the Patreon thing, but on my own website right now, I'm just like, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do it yourself. It's great.
You still need to, like, pay Squarespace, like, every month to be able to have that feature, which kind of sucks, but, like, it's better than sending money to Patreon in my mind.
Right.
Like, or
And it's just like removing yourself from the ecosystem slowly.
mhm.
Yeah, like I
And
remember I
making it
always wanted like a website like as a kid and then finally getting one in 2011 and then like
yes.
having that was just like, yeah, my own little corner of the internet. This rules, but I haven't really done too much with it, but I want to.
Yeah, but it's like
Story of my life.
just having it. I went back and I was like I just like it's a web page, so I can just do whatever I want with it. So at one point I decided when I was like if I want to get outside of like when I was saying, well, what did you do before there were like 3 websites? And it's like, how did you find things? And I was like, well, there was like basically pages of links. There was. I remember as a kid going to like the Anime Web Turnpike and being like, here's how I get links to anime sites and find out about things that don't happen. I'm 12. What is? I'm not at college seeing these cool Akira VHSs or whatever. So how do you find these things? And I'm like, I can just do that on my own website. So I just made a page of links on my own website, and just like an open submitted page of links. And it's like, you can just do that.
Yeah.
No one's stopping you.
I think that like we're seeing that too with just like Linktree or like the card pages.
Right.
Like those
That's
got
like
really
a good
popular.
intro.
Yeah. And just like there are just some things about the internet that like no matter how much like Twitter or like Facebook or like anybody wants to be like a monopoly of them, it's like no, there are just things that people need to do with this like amount of like information.
Yeah. Just make sure your card doesn't just post nothing but Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah.
Or else you're kind of just like. But speaking of our own websites, I think we're getting about time to wind this show down. We've been running for nigh on 2 hours at this point, which is about my cutoff point. I've been trying to do. I'm trying to get better at hitting that 4 p.m. my time cutoff, which is about 2 hours. Because listen, podcast, even though this is gonna be a weird podcast, it's gonna have a sudden break in the middle of it, so we're gonna start talking. It's better than the one where I ran out of disk space and then accidentally deleted, in a rush to fill up disk space, accidentally deleted the entire recording, and then it's like a lost episode.
Oh man.
But originally,
Lost media.
Yes, it exists, and I also don't archive it so that Twitch won't yell at me for playing music. Even though I've accumulated in these 101 episodes about $20 in. I also don't run ads besides the ones that Twitch doesn't give you an option to turn off. I think. Because I think
the one that was. It's very effective on me. I'm absolutely gonna get some food after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
I am too, but I have reservations for food.
I'm trying not to say the name of the place so it doesn't end up in the recording forever, but I think I am going to get that after.
A regional, no, that's a non-regional pizza chain.
Yes. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah, not.
We'll talk about that after the recording ends,
yes,
maybe.
I actually, I have to remember.
I'll start.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you got to go somewhere.
Yeah, I have to go somewhere at some point. I have to eat I have to be there at 6, so I have a little time to get ready, a little time to stitch this recording together and get ready. But this is me closing down the show. Teal Kai, thank you both for being here a lot. I love doing this.
Oh, anytime.
And hanging out with people and like not having a. I was thinking about something the other day because with my own podcast, I listen to a lot of just like at some point I transitioned over to just mostly listen to comedy podcasts from people in LA, and they're like always on each other's shows all the time, and I was like, there's like no. Where would you go as like a game developer just to like be on someone else's show, just to like get yourself out there? And it's just kind of cross-pollination or, just kind of, hey, let's all help each other out in the ways that we can kind of thing, which I think is very handy. It's kind of like that art share change that people do on Twitter occasionally, though Twitter is not the best platform for those kinds of things anyways. But I was realizing I wish there were more of them. I wish there was like more shows that people could be on, or more zines that people could be in, more things that it's like less a one and done sort of thing, With
yeah, for real.
I was
yeah, this was fun.
I was like, at some point I put, no Indiepocalypse repeat contributors until such a comparable peer exists, and I still 3.5 years in. I was like, where are those comparable peers? You thought there would be like one of them by now, perhaps.
You're like a shonen jump protagonist trying to find like their rival.
Yes, yeah. I mean, like, I guess I don't have a rival. I was like, how is that a rival? Or I'm like a shonen jump protagonist gathering all of my crewmates, but then there's like no enemies to fight or something. There's somewhere in this metaphor there's something missing, but there's like not enough. Like there's no secondary. There's no side characters for them to also go on adventures with. I think about shonen sometimes, and then to me they're like almost like art books. It's like,
Yeah.
do I like what these characters look like? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And then on rare occasions, one of them might actually be fun to read, but I'm not a child, so maybe I'm picky about those sorts of things sometimes. But anyway, I almost tricked myself into talking about comic books. I will not, though. I'd love to. They're so good,
Yeah, comic books. I mean, I am a big manga anime person.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, ooh, better not go on a whole tangent and make Andrew miss his thing.
Oh my god, I would love to talk forever about. I have a box of manga right next to me.
Were you, I forget, did I see you on Twitter also getting one of those Kaiji shirts?
Yes, I love my
Yes!
Yes, the sweaty money Kaiji shirt is do you have one as well?
Yeah, I bought like the sweater and the white shirt that I turned into a t-shirt because the sleeves were too long.
Yeah. I would prefer
Yeah.
I think I bought that. I think I posted I had that Kaiji shirt because I was showing it off because I also got that Werewolf Jones shirt at the same time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then I lost that one. The airline lost my luggage that had my Werewolf Jones shirt in it.
Oh no!
Pissed. I had to go on eBay and get another one.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst. Yeah.
I was like, I need this. I need people to understand my vibes when I go to shows.
Yeah, that's. I feel you. I'm not usually like a big like print t-shirt person, but I was like, Kaiju was like the only like kind of fandom that I had gotten into for years because it happened to coincide with when I was stuck indoors for like a year and a half. So I'm like, I kind of need this merch. And also Denpa having the very strangest rollout of merchandise that I've experienced. That was kind of fun too.
Denpa's a weird one. I got very excited about Denpa at first, and I'm like, Denpa.
Yeah.
And now sometimes I'm like, listen, great that you're real horny, Denpa. I'm not always.
Oh no, I haven't paid attention since the t-shirts. Yeah. Since I got the t-shirts, I kind of like tuned out after I got an item that I wanted. So I'm just like, all right, do your thing over there. I'm gonna be over here with my cool sweater.
Yeah, I follow a lot of publishers, and like I get a lot of I get very into indie publications. Like my bare minimum goal with Indiepocalypse is that I outlive POW by at least a day. If I can outlive POW, I will be like, yes, going out on top.
You can do it.
Yes, it's only 7 more years. I think POW ran for 10 years. I think. But that's the shirt I regretted not getting was like their POW closing. Because I was like, anyway, comic books. EX Mag is cool. You should get POW books. You support your local indie. I'm pointing to my camera that's not on. Support your local indie small press. Get your Silver Sprockets and your who's still around. Koyama Press isn't still around. I'm trying to think of what's like short. What am I talking about? I have a short box sticker right on my desk right now. But anyway, comic books, they're cool. But you know what else is cool? These guests here. And I would love it if you would follow up on their stuff. Teal, we were talking about websites that we have. Where can people find your stuff?
Ooh, they can find my art at tealsather.com. So that's Teal, Teal, and then that's like, I don't know if I should just spell it or if you're just gonna have a link, but yeah, tealsather.com.
But not like...
I'm just like, I'm not on the telephone with like a random like pharmacy worker. I'm like, okay, we have visuals.
Yes. But if someone's listening to this in podcast form after the fact, who clicks onto the descriptions in the podcast besides me?
I mean, I do. Like, whenever they're like, ooh, too bad the listeners can't see this photograph, we've linked it. I'm like, I have to see the photograph.
Yes.
But yeah, so Teal Sather, that's Sather is my last name. So kind of weird, but it's like father, but with an S instead of an F.
Or in my mind, I was like, it's Slather, but without an S, without an L.
I was legit introduced to one like middle school classroom as Teal Slather during like introduce your your assigned table partner thing, and we like made little PowerPoints, and someone added an L to my name, and it was really funny.
Yeah, I have a very common last name, but it's a strange spelling, so I've been mispronouncing my entire life.
Yeah, the common last name Pizza Pranks.
Yes, Andrew Pizza I've known. No, I people don't need to know me by my last name. Don't need to get that in depth with me. I'm just it's about removing myself from the thing or something. Who cares?
It's something. All right, other
Kai.
guest.
Kai, hello.
Right,
where's
so
your stuff at?
my website is kaiclavier.com. So that's KAICLAVIER.com, or clavier if you prefer to pronounce it that way, or clavier if you prefer to pronounce it that way. I really don't care. And yeah, it's just got links to all my stuff. Well, most of my stuff.
And it's also it's a whole website.
It's a whole website where you can see stuff that I've worked on since like 2018. I haven't really updated it that much. It's got a link to my itch in there. It's got my email if you want to email me for some reason.
Listen, people, I will say I am more people need to put emails on their websites or somewhere. Because it's a real pain in the ass to do things through Twitter.
It can be pretty. Yeah, Twitter, and they've been so unreliable lately. Like, I was trying to contact an artist and just sending them a DM, and then like I got a reply from them, and I didn't even see it until an hour later. And in a more pressing scenario, that could be awful.
Yes.
I've definitely used those DMs to like, be like, hey, by the way, where are you at the airport? Type questions.
No. But like an email, you can put links in it, you can put images in it, you can make it really long, and it's still easy to read.
The power of email.
Yeah, it's a reason that it hasn't gone away. It still works. It's still good. They may have killed RSS, but they'll never kill email. Also, RSS still works too.
Yeah.
You can still
I've been
use
trying.
it.
Yeah.
You don't need to. Not everyone needs a Substack. But anyway. That's
yeah,
you
I'm
can
not
monetize those. I assume that's why people all have Substacks.
I don't know. I've never looked into those.
No.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough a programmer to know what that is.
I think it's just a newsletter thing.
Oh, okay.
I know it sounds like a GitHub thing, but I think it's just a newsletter thing. But like you've got a stack of subscribers.
Oh yeah, that's
I
true.
don't know if that's true, but that's what I said. And it sounds right.
I I want a stack of submarine sandwiches
Oh, I do
right
too.
now.
What if?
tealsather.com. Go there to donate a whole sandwich to
Yes.
me via the internet.
donate a sub, and then Teal can get subs. Get them any kind of style. What is your preferred sub place? Do you have a preferred sub shop? Is it a local?
Ooh,
Do you like to get
not
things Mike's
really.
way?
Um, I I don't have a very indie taste in sandwiches.
Yeah.
I usually just like Jimmy John's.
Listen, and I, I have a Jersey Mike's on the way home, so
Ooh,
that's
there's
that's
one of those in my neighborhood, but I haven't been there yet.
Are we
there was.
talking about our favorite local foods?
Oh yes,
Um,
our favorite local chain restaurant.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there is a local place to me that's like a brick oven pizzeria, and they're great because they take 5 minutes to make.
ooh,
And I
There's
love.
so there's a place in Winnipeg which they sell Japanese street style crepes,
ooh.
savory and sweet, and they are absolutely delicious and the best. And one other game developer friend of mine that moved away from Winnipeg described it as the only reason worth living in Winnipeg. But he was talking specifically about one item that they had called Pump Up the Yam. So it's a crepe with yam in it, peppercorn mayo, tofu, and I think spinach. And it was absolutely delicious. Notice that I say was, there was a supply chain issue of some kind, and they don't have it anymore.
I'm
And
going to cry.
I cry every day. Because they got rid of Pump Up the Yam, and I really hope that it gets resolved and they add it back to the menu. But I remember I went on a trip, and when I came back, Pump Up the Yam was gone.
That is a
I'm so
national.
sorry.
That is an international tragedy. It reminds me of the very first time when I was in Atlanta, and the people working a booth next to me, they're like, "Do you want some Jersey Mike's?" And I was like, "Yes, I'll get this Reuben." And they do not sell Reubens where I live. In
No.
there is like
Oh,
one
that's
place near
sad.
me that sells, and I'm like on the right day, I was like, I need a Reuben immediately. And there's like one place, and it closes very close to when I leave work, so I have to like
Oh
rush.
no.
I have to like I can't do anything else. I have to leave work when my shift ends, and I need to go there immediately. And it's too dangerous a path for me to travel often. Not the path is actually perilous, more like the idea of it. But
Mm,
oh no,
yeah.
I try to end the show, but now we're talking
Yeah.
about sandwiches.
This
Yeah,
is
let's end the
this
show
is because
again.
I'm here. It's the Minnesota goodbye.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
I need to give you. We were just talking about last week about the Massachusetts Irish style goodbye, which is I just end this show and I don't tell anybody.
Oh yeah. See, that's how you got to deal with the
Yeah,
Minnesotans.
and
Otherwise, we'll talk all day.
that's how I leave social
Yeah, I'm the
situations.
same.
When I'm like I'm done. I'm peace. I'm out. I'm both of them. I stay forever, but then when I finally do leave, you'll never notice I was gone. But before I leave, let me tell you about Indiepocalypse. It's good. I recommend you buy it. You can go to indiepocalypse.com. I'm very close to just selling it through my own website. I have all I have like all the files uploaded and like
Ooh.
95% of the store pages made. But there was a friend of mine who's a website maker, had made me a website, but I couldn't edit the header, and I wanted to put like links to the store, like the cart and the account info, all that stuff. But
Hmm.
should be accessible now after I upload one more PHP file. I just need to like do that.
Yeah, you'll get it.
So soon you'll be able to purchase Indiepocalypse from indiepocalypse.com instead of just going there and then going to the itch page and then buying it there. And you'll be able to buy Indiepocalypse cassette tapes that aren't actually cassette tapes there.
Ooh.
I really like those. They're a thing that I think is very cool. I couldn't find a way to package Indiepocalypse physically, but then I was Taylor McHugh's. He fucked the girl out of me. I was selling her like Game Boy of them,
Huh?
or like Game Boy homebrews, and I was looking up buying Game Boy cases, and I came across like Etsy of people putting Game Boy games inside of cassette cases. And I was like, right. Cassette cases are vertically oriented, much like the covers for Indiepocalypse.
Oh.
So now I want to set that up so that I can have like print on demand, cassette cases with a little USB copy of Indiepocalypse inside of it.
Oh, USB copy. Smart.
Yes. Yeah, I get the old AliExpress USBs and just like stick some cover, and it looks. I have all 40 of them in my house, and they look great. As it turns out, if you commission people to make really cool art, no matter where you put that art, it will look good. As it turns out. That is a thing I am realizing, or I think I always knew, which is why I did it in the first place. But if you want to join Indiepocalypse, Indiepocalypse.com/submit. It's the easiest way to do it. It's just you go to itch and then you like click your game and add it. It's super easy. You can subscribe through Indiepocalypse.com/Patreon, which will also the benefit of owning your own website is that you can keep those URLs the same. So if I ever change what that is, I can just leave it as /Patreon and I'll just go to a different website. I'm the boss of that URL. And it can do all sorts of things. Even if you just own your own website name and it redirects to a lot of things, that's a good first step.
Yep.
Just to
that one's easy. You don't even have to pay for web hosts. Just the URL.
Right. So you can be, mycoolstuff.com/Twitter instead of twitter.com/mycoolstuff. It makes a difference. It's a mild difference, but it gets people thinking about you than thinking about Twitter. And you're an artist, not Twitter. Twitter is merely a platform. If you, I think that's all the stuff there is to do about Indiepocalypse. If you want to make a cover for Indiepocalypse, just keep making art and then wait for my email. That's the cover artist process. Or get your art in front of my face at like the right time of month where I'm thinking about cover artists. And then I go, there we go. I do need that. Thank you. But don't tell me about it. It's that it's the secret sauce of it. Mostly because I never want people to contact me directly to do their things because I feel bad if I say no. And it would feel uncomfortable to someone go, oh, no, I don't want to include that. But if it just exists in a pool that I can look at. Anyway, that's the show. This is when I should have ended it. Ignore the previous accidental ending. This is a proper ending.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Kai, thank you. Goodbye. I'm going to.
Goodbye.